Cave is a gorgeous, beautiful place. Have you ever wondered who the first people to ever map it were? Have you ever wondered who those people were who risked their lives to make sure you and me and all of us could see this natural wonder?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were teenagers.
What?
Let's explore more today
On
Nine Worlds.
Jinx. The first people to explore Mammoth Cave were the prehistoric peoples. Then, thousands of years later, the Native Americans used cheese shells to scrape off gypsum from the walls.
Fast forward to the 1700s, and European settlers rediscovered the caves and quickly realized that there's money to be made here. Now, saltpeter is an ingredient necessary to make gunpowder, and the caves were full of it, and the United States needed lots of it. During the War of 1812, enslaved men mined huge amounts of saltpeter at Mammoth Cave to send to the gunpowder factories in the East to support these war efforts.
But in 1815, the war ended, and so did the money! Where'd it go? So, a new plan for the cave-in. Let's make it a tourist destination! In the early years, the destination was run by many different people and was slightly successful. But it started to take off when Stephen Bishop came around in 1838. Lift off!
Stephen Bishop was an enslaved teen who was brought to the caves by his enslaver, a man named Franklin Gorin, who purchased the caves for $5,000 in 1838.
About $161,000 in today's money. Stephen Bishop began working at the cave as a tour guide when he was only 17 years old. This brave, smart teenager, along with a few fellow friends, changed everything at the cave.
At that time, only a few miles of the cave had been mapped, so in addition to giving tours, Bishop was also tasked with exploring and charting new cave routes. That's a lot of work, and so it quickly became obvious to Gorin that if he wanted to make money from this investment, he needed more workers. So he leased 2 additional enslaved men, Mat and Nick Bransford, from an associate for $100 each every year.
Mat was 15 and Nick was 17, and together, these 3 teenagers gave tours and explored the cave. They crawled through narrow passages and swung over nearly bottomless pits, traversed through pitch-black caverns, and swam through underground rivers that led to waterfalls. And they explored many other cave hazards with only a rope and a lantern. Underground, they found a world never seen by humans before, a world filled with mysterious things that are amazing in their mysterious way.
Within a year, Bishop became the first explorer to cross the 150-foot deep bottomless pit. That accomplishment led to many more fantastic discoveries, including the winding passage he eventually labeled Fat Man's Misery. And at the very bottom of the 5-level cave, more than 360 feet underground, he found a world full of bizarre, colorless, eyeless creatures in the stream that would eventually become known as the Echo River. Bishop knew the cave better than anybody and once drew a map of the cave entirely from memory.
Bravo, Bishop! Those early tours must have been fantastic. Paddling down the Echo River, seeing the gypsum light up like stars in the night sky. For a nickel or a dime, the tour guide would write your name on the wall using the soot from a candle tied to a pole. You can even see some of the old graffiti that could have been written by one of the young teenage tour guides. Imagine that. Imagine having your name written onto walls out of soot and then it still being there hundreds of years later. That's awesome.
These 3 men were practically celebrities underground. They were frequently requested as tour guides for the rich and famous visitors. But above ground, they were still enduring the hardships of life as enslaved men. Bishop eventually bought his freedom and continued working as a paid guide until his death in 1857. Mat Bransford married an enslaved woman and had 4 children, but 3 of them were sold into slavery, never to be seen again by their parents. Nick Bransford eventually bought his freedom. Lore has it that he did so by selling the eyeless fish found in the streams at the bottom of the cave. It took him 7 years of catching fish at night to earn enough money to buy his freedom, it said. Both Mat and Nick remained at the caves, even as free men, giving tours until their death.
But that's not where the story of the Bransford guys ends. Generations of Bransfords following Mat and Nick continued to serve as guides of Mammoth Cave. That is, until Mammoth Cave became a national park in 1941. And none of the black guides were hired by the Park Service in the transition.
But the story's still not over for the Bransfords. The Bransford family commitment to the caves in this land runs deep. And in the early 1990s, the Parks Department invited Jerry Bransford to continue the family legacy as a 5th-generation guide at Mammoth Cave, giving tours and telling his family legacy in the very caverns explored by his great-great-grandfather, Mat Bransford. So is the story over now?
No! Because of the efforts of these 3 men, we can all enjoy the wonders of the longest cave system in the world, Mammoth Cave. Subscribe if you like what you see. I'm going to stay here and see what comes next while you can, edit our next video.